Hello, Tarot family, and welcome to Mediumship with Bay, episode 12. Ooh la la. Okay, so I know in my last video I said that typically a spirit will appear in the first house whenever I ask the question, what spirits are around me, right? And so, of course, since you make a rule, I'm moving my microphone around. Of course, like every time you make a rule, the exception starts to populate, right? So this is the first time I've ever done one of these readings, and there wasn't a court card in the first house. What we actually have here is the Five of Swords. And the Five of Swords is a very interesting card to see in the first house because this is somebody who's like, okay, yeah, Five of Swords, someone who lies through, who tries to win through deceit, right? You lost the baseball game, but when you came home, you said that you won. Because you wanted to celebrate and everybody's happy and nobody cares or is going to check anyway, right? You went to the casino and you lost all your money, but you tell all your friends you won big. Cool. But as far as like a spirit appearing with the Five of Swords to me also is like a saloon girl with a fan, somebody who's too afraid to show their face. And because this is happening in the first house, I'm getting like no more Mr. Nice Guy. What is it? How do the lyrics go? Mom's been kicked out of the social circle and dad's been forced to hide. So it's somebody who's like, this spirit is like too afraid to show their face, whether it's like acne or something like that. Because I am seeing a person and they're just afraid to show their face because of a beard, because of their teeth, because their beard doesn't connect, because their beard does connect. It's always some type of issue with like the lower jaw. Um, but the presence of this spirit, like I said, I was talking about temperature in the last video. Like have yet to feel any type of chill, so I'm still feeling like very hot. Um, but the energy that the Five of Swords carries is a Libra energy. So this is like someone who's like trying to play a trick on you, or they're a trick, you know. But I do see court cards here, so there are spirits present. They just like aren't around you, or they just aren't around. They're just not from like your father's side of the family. Um, my practice doesn't really follow any type of true spirituality, other than the fact that it's my belief that the tarot is basically, if not wholly, the first testament, like put into a comic book form or into trading cards. Each card does talk about different things from different spiritualities. Like I see the Page of Cups like representing like Krishna and like Hinduism. I've seen the Hangman represent like Norse mythology with like Odin. But a lot of this stuff talks to me about the First Testament, and maybe it's because I that's like one of the biblical scriptures that I've read the most or have the most knowledge of. Whereas if I would have read the Quran or the New Testament, other than the book of Luke, because I read all these things in school, um, they would probably talk to me more about these other things, right? The Five of Wands talks to me more about like Asian cultures and Asian spirituality. Five of Swords is just, it feels to me like Las Vegas, right? So let's just go through the cards and see what we're seeing. Um, we have, like I said, a father figure who's too afraid to show their face. We have this energy of, so the message that the spirit is trying to give us in this reading, is that for your finances, um, use positive affirmation, and also like life is all about good lighting and good smells. So even if you are a millionaire but you live in the sewer, like Penguin from the Batman, it's like, what's the worth of all that money? It's like nothing. You live in a sewer, right? But even if you do live in a sewer, uh just light some incense and make it smell nice, and change the lighting, get some halogen light bulbs, right? Um, the spirit here is too afraid to show their face. They're trying to use positive affirmations. They want to say that they love you. This energy of love is surrounding Gemini energy, so it's like they're trying to communicate that they love you. I feel like there's like a mother figure, mother energy, Cancer, fourth house, mother, grandmother, somebody with boobs, right? So like if a man has boobs, like Big Mama's house, you know what I mean? They're in some type of like legal dispute, legal troubles. And the way that I see the Justice card, especially in the After Tarot, it's like how to go before a judge and um have them believe you when the person who's trying to sue you is like incredibly rich and wealthy, right? We have a man in like a king's robes, and then we have like somewhat of a pauper. So that energy is going on, and talking about like court cards being spirits, we can see the trump cards as being I always see them as like divine entities. So so as I was saying, the hangman represents like Odin in Norse mythology. Um Judgment, or actually justice, sorry. Justice seems to me like King Solomon. So this has a lot of like Hebrew type of energy to it. And then I see the Temperance card as being Archangel Michael. Not like, I don't know if I see anything being Raphael or the other angels. I'm not super familiar with all the other angels, but when I see the Temperance card, I'm like, this is Archangel Michael. Some people see it as some other things. I can't remember their names, so I'm not going to say it. And then what we have here, which I guess is like pretty like nail on the head with mediumship reading. We also have the Death card, which represents it. To me, it always represents like Santeria, Macumba, somewhat of like folk magic, witch doctors, even to the effect that like hoodoo, right? It's about using herbs and roots and making something out of nothing. Um, so like in baseball, they use like sap and oils. I don't really know everything to cheat. So that's where I've been seeing this like referee energy. Maybe even like the shoes that they're wearing could possibly talk about cheating, like within the game. But the Death card right next to the Chariot. The Chariot to me is like most of the time it's like a hearse, like a limousine, or after a war is over, the people that go and knock on the doors and deliver like flags to people who aren't coming back from the battlefield. I see that as the Chariot as well. I also see the Chariot representing like Ifa, and Egyptian religions, mostly because of the sphinxes that are on there. Uh, the Chariot and the Charioteer are somebody who's protected by their knowledge, right? And I think that one sphinx shows you your best possible outcome, and the other sphinx shows you like you know you're receiving the best possible outcome, right? So that does mean that somebody else is not going to receive their best possible outcome. And I think that's what the Black Sphinx talks about. And the White Sphinx is like the one that's like all in your ear, like all your dreams are going to come true. It's going to be amazing. And the Black Sphinx is like at the cost of a lot of your best people who you believe to be your best friends. Um, and I would also say that the Black Sphinx is actually more of an optimist and carries a lot more positive energy, where the White Sphinx is somewhat of a pessimist. It's almost like you're in a beauty pageant and the White Sphinx is like, oh, you're gonna win, and is sad about it. Whereas like the Black Sphinx is like, all these bitches are gonna lose and they're happy about it. And even in their coloring and their headdresses, they do talk about, to me, just to talk about more spirituality, actually, and because this chariot is in the seventh house, and Libra energy is somewhat connected to the country of Japan. They're very aesthetic, right? Um, it talks to me about like omiyotos, like government sanctioned psychics or spiritual workers, and also like the way of the yin and the yang. So it's a knowledge and a knowing that in every curse there is a blessing, and in every blessing there is a curse. To every good thing, there's, you can always have too much of a good thing, and best believe you can always have too much of a bad thing, right? Uh, okay, so like moving on from that, then I'm also seeing the Nine of Wands. So the Nine of Wands is this energy of like paranoia and having your guard up. And I guess like not every spirit that comes in contact with you is a benevolent spirit, but I'm a believer that even if the boogeyman is trying to scare you away from a situation, that is still a positive experience. Even like in Scooby Doo, when like old man Withers is trying to chase these meddling kids off of their property, because of whatever real estate fraud bullshit they're trying to do. You know how Scooby Doo is. I remember being a little kid and like being like, all of this has to do with real estate. Like, what is this about? This show is weird. Um, okay, and we're finally getting some chills. I'm seeing the King of Cups. So as you can, as we're going through these messages that I'm trying to do a little bit more frequently, the King of Cups is showing up again, but now they've gone from I think the last time they were in the fifth house, I want to say, and now they're in the ninth house. And a court card being in the ninth house is very cool because it shows you that this person is traveling. Because the ninth house is the house of long distance travel and education. So I've experienced things with spirits where in their living life they weren't into astrology, they weren't into spirituality, but I've actually seen one of my family members become an Omiyoto in the astral realm. And Omiyotos actually wear a Carolina blue, light blue robe and like a black hat. And if you look at the King of Cups, it's very much like the tunic or dress that he's wearing is like light blue. And then in the after tarot, um, I see the King of Cups as more of like, yeah, like I said, either an Omiyoto or a Christian, specifically a follower of Christ because of the fish around his neck. But then when I see the King of Cups in the regular tarot, it talks to me about like white supremacy, the Illuminati, like lizard people, people who are heavily associated with their like reptilian brain. But I'm not necessarily seeing that one in this right now. And the next entity that I'm seeing is the Knight of Wands in the 10th house. So the Knight of Wands is my card of sudden miracles. This is a benevolent spirit. It's a Sagittarius with a car who's working on their reputation, who's trying to maybe even save their reputation or help your reputation. So, like, once again, when we talk about spiritual work and mediumship, like, what do you have to do? Is the spirit is asking you to fortify your reputation and to speak well of other people because what you appreciate appreciates, right? So it doesn't cost you anything to say something positive about someone who's trying to do something good with their life, even if you're envious. I literally hate when like I listen to these myself, and I hate when I say, oh, da da da, or listen to other people and they say that, but it's just, I don't know. I'm asking for confirmation that you're not going to give me. But that's just what it is. Okay. So I'm also seeing the Hermit again. So I think there's a lot of people that are dealing with housing issues. And then I guess like for potheads or something, it's like they'd rather live on the street if it means that they can smoke. Which I don't think is a good thing. And then in this and the after tarot, uh, the hermit has like a big black dog with him. And ever since those wildfires in Canada, throughout the American East Coast, there's been all these sightings of like black bears in urban areas. So it could be talking about that as well. And the other entity, so the thing about swords too, so we're seeing a Queen of Swords here, and she's in the 12th house, which is the house of secrets, right? So there could be someone who is like an Aquarius or a Libra. So the Queen of Swords is like, Aquarius, Libra, Gemini. In this positioning, I'm feeling more Libra, more Aquarius. But a lot of the times it's somebody who has a double chin or has an ex-husband who's in the military or who wanted to date like a military officer and was unsuccessful in doing so. Um, I'm not here to build pyramids or set up hierarchies, but in the Queen of Swords mind, dating like a five-star general or whatever you call him or the president is very desirable for them and desirable for the spirit. And so whoever this person was, something happened to their teeth or their mouth or they're growing a beard or something like that, or they were used as a beard and that can be very embarrassing and they don't want to show their face. Okay. Um Oh, and then so for clarification, which I don't know if I've talked about this in the other mediumship messages, but for clarification, something that I'll do is I have these animal spirit cards. And a lot of the times, people have favorite animals or animals that represent them that will help you connect and identify who these people are. Even people have like, animal nicknames, like to be nicknamed after certain animals. So what I do is I shuffle these cards like I have in my hand, and then I will ask like who these people are and what animals represent them. And sometimes when I'm doing a reading, especially if I receive the Page of Pentacles or pages in general, yes, they can represent children, but a lot of the times they also represent pets. So I'll be going on and on and on about, oh, this person, they wanted to be famous and they wanted to marry a military man and they're very bitter and they're scorned and they're a freaking elephant in the zoo. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, girl, I don't know what to tell you, Babar. And the thing is that, like, the secret life of bees, like, animals are living these, like, very rich, complex lives that we're just unaware of. Um, so that's what it is. Okay. So the Five of Swords, this spirit, whoever the spirit is represented by the hawk. So they like to travel, they have very keen eyesight, maybe very beautiful eyes, but like I said, there's something wrong with their teeth and their lower jaw. I'm not seeing the Four of Pentacles or the Four of Swords, which also talks about that energy. Five of Swords does talk about someone who needs like a root canal or a tooth abstraction. The death card as well, like the death card, it's like maybe even someone begging for death because of like a toothache or something. Um, and maybe it's because of my accent, and maybe it's because I'm obsessed with the movie Clueless, but I just heard Ethan, like Ethan, right? Um, like, you're so sweet, you're giving me a toothache. So I think there's something going on with Cher, because that's like what just keeps coming up in my mind. And she is old and she has a lot of plastic surgery. And then so with this King of Cups, right? So the King of Cups, his animal energy is that of the cougar or mountain lion. And before all this stuff with these black bears started happening, I had this vision of like Jumanji. Like PETA's gonna release all the animals from the zoo and cause a stampede. These forest fires could chase out larger, we're already seeing it with bears, but like larger wildcats into domesticated, or urban areas. But also receiving the Cougar card above the King of Cups, which is a traditionally masculine, assertive energy. And actually, the Cougar's energy is that of being assertive. Um, it just like, I don't know, a lot of Omiyotos or Buddhist priests, you know, like they don't really mix with like the other genders. Like Buddhism has a lot of different ideas about women. But seeing that this King of Cups is a cougar, it does give me this kind of like drag drag queen, but also just like how like the Whig Party. So why do British judges, even to the extent of their different colonies, why do they wear blonde wigs and robes? It's because they need to be able to have the same amount of respect be given to them as an older judge, um, in comparison to the younger judges. So it's like if we're all wearing wigs, no one can be like, "Oh, you're wearing a wig." So that's why they wear those silly blonde wigs and the black robes. So it's more of like uniform and decorum and respect. And even in the time period of like the 18th century, where you know, dandies or macaronis or whatever you call them, uh, like why in high society it was appropriate for men to wear wigs. It's because like you know you go to a gala or a ball and you're 25 years old and you have you know your hair, you know, your natural hair, and you look beautiful. And it's out of respect for the older men who are wearing wigs. Um, and I'm also getting this message of like Crystal LaBeija versus Harlow. I was actually hearing the name Winnie Harlow for a very long time. Crystal LaBeija versus Harlow because Harlow in the movie The Queen from 1960 whatever, she's in this pageant, you know, like not wearing a wig, you know, barely wearing any makeup, whereas drag queens from you know uh, more melanated populations are taught that they have to lighten their skin, they have to wear their hair a certain way, and yada yada yada. So it's almost like this person, like younger, like just having more respect for the older, whatever. This person seems like a drag queen or something. Like there's just something that's very like drag about them, very 50% woman, 50% man spirit. And they're very far away. They're in a different country, and they're getting older. Uh, the the Knight of Wands, the Knight of Wands is being represented by an elephant spirit, which I always like tend to see as like Ganesh. So as I'm always like, oh, these different court cards or these different cards talk about different forms of spirituality. I do see wands sometimes representing like a almost like Egyptian type of energy, Egyptian, Middle Eastern, Zoroastrian energy. Okay, so like I was saying, the Knight of Wands does give me this energy of, um, like I was saying, Middle Eastern, Zoroastrian type of religions, and then even on the after tarot of the Knight of Wands, there's another Sphinx, and pyramids and things like that. I know that Ganesh is from like Indian traditions, but they have pyramids and temples and stuff like that too, like the Anwar Temple. And the Knight of Wands talks about like a Sagittarian type of energy. Could be Leo, could be Aries. But there's also this elephant here. So the elephant is this energy of like I always feel like it's Kylie Minogue, like get out of my way, like get out of like whatever. And this person is surrounded by greatness and a love of strength, so like to work out, even though they may not look incredibly physically fit. And okay, so I think the overall or the the main spirit here is actually a Queen of Swords. I think it's a Queen of Swords who is too afraid to show her face. She like is trying to like maybe even secretly astral project around. And she's trying to win through deceit or deception. I think that this spirit is more like an ugly duckling because what we have here is the swan. And the swan's energy is this energy of grace. And grace could also be a name. So if we're looking for a name as to who this spirit is, their name could most likely be Grace. And if you're from a country where the name Grace doesn't exist, which that doesn't exist, the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life, it could be something an equivalent or just translate it, right? People from Reddit are so annoying. And the crazy thing is too, when you're like a spiritualist and all things like that, like people go out of their way to try to debunk you and da 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 da. And what those people don't know, um, is that it's almost like the opposite of what happened to Harry Houdini. Like you might go around trying to punch psychics in the stomach, but then you end up getting punched in the face and maybe not having any teeth like a duck. um, so be careful of that. And this night, so this person also could be somebody who has like a sun Pisces, but like a rising Aquarius, moon in Aquarius, um, yeah, rising Gemini, rising Libra, or double, like I said, like a double chin. And or like you know exactly like how ducks and swans hold their head. Like they might not even have a double chin. It just might be like how they're holding their face and bad posture. But then like these animal spirits, I think they say so much, right? Especially the cougar one. So that's how you can identify people. At the center of this reading, I'm seeing the Seven of Pentacles, which the Seven of Pentacles talks about like we've it's about growing and investing and like I said, what you appreciate appreciates and um benefiting from the fruits of your harvest. But also if you look at the little guy's what's in his hand, it's also somebody who's like a hoe. You know what I mean? So as I'm like, oh, Five of Swords, this person's like a trick, like they don't want to show their face. They're a hoe, or like they're a gigantic tool, if they're a man. Um, so that's how you can identify like these spirits that are around right now. And as I do talk, like and the thing is too, people can be like straddling the line of the spirit world. And when I first started doing readings and I would see people, I'd be like, oh, this person, they're a Leo, whatever, whatever. And I'm like, is your father still with us? You know what I mean? And it reminded me of being in kindergarten and, doing history classes. And every time they bring somebody up, it's always like, is this person dead or alive? And I think that maybe these spirits are still alive, but you have the ability to project your spirit almost like a ventriloquist dummy. Um, and then also speaking about dead or alive, I could look this up on my phone, but I don't know Pete, let's look it up. Let's look it up our phone. Let's look it up. Let's be astrologers again. I've been doing like the thing is like I love astrology. I read astrology all the time and watch astrology videos. But now that I've been in like tarot land for you know nearly a decade, I don't really care to know people's sun signs because then ultimately like it says like I think sun signs say enough. But for me, they don't always say it. They say enough. I can tell a lot by a person's sun sign, but they don't say everything. Okay, so Pete Burns' birthday is August 5th, making him, I guess, like some sort of Leo or something, right? And I guess he could be the Knight of Wands. And the only reason I say that is because his band is called Dead or Alive, and his spirit has been coming through to me saying that these people are insincere to the point of nausea, and I wouldn't piss on them if they burst into flames. And the Knight of Wands does carry like a fire energy, and I've been saying that quite often. So that's that. I mean, and I think he is past, and he is like trans. You know what I mean? Um, I can actually pull up his full natal chart, and you can see what his rising is, and we can see what his rising is. I don't know why it's like I say it's so evil. We'll get all the facts, all the Pete Burns car facts here. Okay. I feel like it's Pete Burns because I've been talking about him a lot. His ascendant is Libra. So a Libra ascendant, that could be this Queen of Swords actually. So you got a Sun Libra, Sun Leo, Moon Leo, Mercury Leo, Triple Leo. Okay. Virgo, Scorpio. Okay. Yeah, he has some stuff in Scorpio, some Jupiter in Scorpio, Neptune in Scorpio. That could talk about these three court cards I'm seeing. But it's people like him. I mean, it could even be people in his band or people that were around him. I keep getting this smell of like Lunchables that are like the pizza ones, like that weird kind of fake pepperoni smell. I don't know what it is. But that's what I'm feeling. That's the message that's coming through. Those are spirits that are coming across. Uh, so dialing it back to the fifth house of like spiritual work and what these spirits want from you as payment is temperance. So the temperance card or temperance movement doesn't ask us to be 100% sober. It just talks about being even keel and having balance in our lives. So I think that a lot of musicians and a lot of people in the arts will probably tell you like how drugs ruin everything. And I was also receiving this message about like David Ruffin from the Temptations, where it was like you really can't be anywhere acting and behaving like him. You know what I mean? It's good to be an asset to a team, but once you start to become disruptive to the team, you're no longer tempting, right? Pretty hot and tempting. That. Okay. And the other thing these spirits are telling me are the Six of Cups. So another way that you can pay, this is how you pay respect at a headstone or at a cemetery, but you can always just leave the flowers inside your own home. You can dry them out, and that's respect enough. Okay. All right. So I feel like that's been Mediumship with Bay. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.